this morning, sunshine through the clouds, feeling the healing, laughter all around. Rise up and stand tall, joy in every stride. No more tears to fall, let your spirit guide. Blessed goes summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed goes summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed goes summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Blessed Girl Summer Podcast, where we learn to live, love, and cultivate a life of peace and joy. Y'all know this season we are talking about advocacy, and I've had some really great conversations with individuals who are utilizing their gifts to serve others in this world. And so we have been exploring how others and yourself can be a person of change within your sphere of influence. And so I'm excited to talk today with our guest, Aisha, the founder and chief executive officer of Habakkuk. Did I say it right? Habakkuk Vision. Welcome, Aisha. Please introduce yourself. Clarify the name of your organization, and let us know all the things that you're doing in this space.
Yeah, thank you, Tisha. Thank you for having me as your guest. I know it's been a couple of years since we've done this, and just right now, I think the timing is perfect. As you know, the work continues, and a lot has happened since we last sat down and had a talk together. So you got my name right. No, it's the pronunciation of the organization that always gets everyone, and even sometimes it gets me. The name of the organization is Habakkuk's Vision Charitable Ministries. Habakkuk, it is a book in the Bible. It was based on a prophet named Habakkuk, and he talked about writing the vision, and he talked about dreams and visions that we have that although it may tarry, it will surely come to pass. So that was the basis of how we got to the name of Habakkuk's Vision. And, that name, that scripture, and everything, that book in the Bible actually came to me when I was behind the prison wall. So it's an organization that's very dear and near to me. I am a woman of lived experience. I am an Afro-Latina woman who has been impacted by the justice system and also domestic violence. So the work that I do, it's not work per se that I collect a check or get paid for it, right? It's work of service that I do out of love. So what we do is we provide services for those who are reentering, but it's not limited to those reentering from the justice system. We also provide escape plans and for those who are fleeing from domestic violence. We serve unsheltered community members of various counties. We provide supportive services such as case management. We recently acquired Habakkuk's house. Yay! Where we utilize the space to provide emergency transitional housing assistance, once again, to those who may be fleeing, to any individuals who we've identified as homeless and needs immediate housing. And during that time, we work with them, right? We work with them to ensure that we can transfer them from a place from emergency temporary assistance to permanent supportive stable housing, right? That includes providing just, basic needs, right? Food and nutrition. We provide workforce development, career training, social services. We help them, those who have aged out, and I say aged out is that those who are no longer of working age apply for Social Security disability benefits, right? So we provide a host of services that are geared to provide those that we are serving with stability, comfort, a nurturing environment, and allow them to thrive for their own independence.
I love it. You have said so many things, and you made reference to the fact that it's been a minute since we have been able to conversate about the things that you've been doing, and so much has happened since then. The last time that we connected and talked, we were talking a little bit about your story and your desire to help others through their experiences.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I want to kind of dive a little bit into um, what inspired you to use your platform or to have this organization to shine a light in dark spaces, right? I think that a lot of the things that you are doing not only helps others but highlights areas where there are deficiencies, right? Where individuals are not being served properly. And so I love to hear a little bit about what has inspired you, because this is all the things that you have said
Mhm.
are definitely come from a space of service, right? And I think you even said it like it's like love, you know? And so I love to hear a little bit more about the inspiration behind that.
Yeah, so for sure. I believe that I've been serving for now over 20 some odd years, and this stems back from before Habakkuk's vision. I think it's a calling that God had for me, and I always try to run from it. But it was not until I was actually just as impacted that I realized that there was a need, right? There was a need for more individuals with lived experience who have faced incarceration, who have been impacted by domestic violence, intimate partner violence, right? To not only share their experience, but just advocate for the needs of those who are going through those situations. It was through my own incarceration that I realized some of the barriers to, safe and actually fair legal representation, right? The barriers that women, not only women, but persons of color face within the legal system, right? The issues inside of the prison system, reconnecting to families, and then, the exit plan. How do we plan from our exit of incarceration? What does that look like? Are we just being warehoused for these couple of months, couple of years, whatever, not learning any skills? Our skills are being dormant. If you don't use it, you lose it, right? So then you come home and then you're lost. So as I was in the halfway house is it's like when you leave the actual correctional institution, you're halfway home. So the halfway house allows you to reintegrate, right, by coming out first for a couple of months, or whether it be a couple of months, a couple of weeks, and you're halfway home. So you're still under I was in the Bureau of Prisons, the FBOP, Federal Bureau of Prisons. So you're halfway home, but you're staying in another facility, right? And during that time, that is your time to allow you to find work, to get documentations in order. Some people may be leaving the prison system without driver's license, photo ID, birth certificate. As for me, I didn't have any of my documentation aside from my birth certificate. My driver's license was expired. I had fines and everything. Some bills were unmet, unpaid. So while I was in there, it was quite of a struggle, right? However, I did have great family ties. I'm not going to say that I went hungry. However, I did meet and I was housed with women who they didn't have those family connections, right? They didn't have anyone to pay their license restoration fees. They didn't have anyone to pay their fines. They didn't have any place to go after the halfway house. So their exit plan was just to go into a shelter after the halfway house, right? being faced with homelessness, right? They didn't have community connections nor community ties for employment. I was often asked to do a lot of work in the halfway house as a volunteer, whether it was to assist a sister with writing a resume, right, or helping look for jobs. And I'm like, well, you guys have staff that should be doing this. But them, in their defense, caseloads, they were overwhelmed by caseloads, right? They didn't have a lot of volunteers coming in to do that. And we do know that there's a lot of agencies out there that do provide workforce development. They provide digital learning, right? But it's just getting them into the halfway houses to do the work, to support those who are doing the work in the halfway houses, right?
Yeah.
So then that's why I said, you know what, Aisha, you're leaving here with a roof over your head. You have a stable place to stay. You may not have a job, but you know you're going to get a job, right? And that's another thing, just building those connections. An organization took a gamble and a bet on me. So who am I that I can't take a gamble and a bet on someone else who has been impacted by the justice system and win, because they won when
Yes.
they when they acquired me, right? So when they
Yeah.
hired me for my role, I do believe they won. So with that being said, I took all of that, those experiences, seeing what I knew and learned happens in the halfway house and happens and what should be happening in the prisons, right? For this rehabilitation that's really not happening. And I said, you know what, Aisha? God had to allow you to see this firsthand, because you hear about it, you're just like, whatever, girl, you just lazy, you just exaggerating. Um, but I think God allowed me to see it and also experience it so I can know the needs of others and actually be in their shoes to see how difficult it was. So, once again, through my own incarceration, through my own domestic violence experience, to know the stigmas that are being faced, to know the questions that always come up. Well, why did you go back? Why do you continue to go back? As if it's so easy, right, to be independent when you've been in a domestic violence situation where you depended financially on your abuser.
Mm.
So, just that
You
among a whole bunch of things.
Look, you said so many things that I hadn't even thought about. And I like that you gave like practical life examples, especially concerning like the driver's license, then coming back to all these fines and all these fees and things that you're not even aware of that have been transpiring or accumulating, and not really having a footing to be able to properly reestablish yourself, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I'm thinking about all those like practical things. And then I'm also thinking about mentally, like how are you transitioning mentally from coming from a confined space, and whatever reason you were in there, the things that you were dealing with that got you there, the things that you were dealing with while you're in there, and then now you're transitioning out, um, and may not have that family support, like you mentioned. That just seems like a lot of trauma happening, that is not
Addressed.
addressed. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a great, great question. And I'm glad that you brought it up, because that is that other piece. And thankfully, through right now, our organization is a partner of the New Jersey Department of Corrections and J Lead. And what I admire about the New Jersey Department of Corrections and J Lead um, program and their department is that they have created categories for trauma informed care and trauma recovery support specialists to now go into the prisons and provide those who are housed in prisons and jails with that trauma recovery support that they need, right? So everyone looks at someone who has been incarcerated and they say, well, they deserve to be there. They knew what they were doing. Sometimes it's mitigating circumstances that have led to their crimes, right? So addressing that, for me, we didn't have that. And that's why I said, wow, New Jersey Department of Corrections, New Jersey NJ Lead is doing great work, because during my incarceration, during my time in Federal Bureau of Prisons, we didn't discuss our trauma. It was just, okay, you're doing your time, um, program, right? Programming was very scarce. We couldn't even get a decent computer class. So counseling, no, we didn't get any type of counseling. Counseling was actually very scarce. You had to put in a form to seek counseling, and then if you did seek counseling, they'll put you sometimes in this place called the shoe. It's like how do they call it? It's not. It's almost like the box. Right, because they want to diagnose you or just label you as being depressed and, like you may cause harm to yourself or cause harm to others. But anyway, I say this to say that those traumas are not addressed. But thankfully, through one of my partners, which is the New Jersey Department of Corrections, they do have support services internally now that address those traumas. I mean, I was housed with women who experienced years and years of abuse, not only intimate partner abuse, but also abuse as a child. So how do you talk about those things? Because the reality of it is, while you're housed in there, I think that is the best time to address these traumas. Because when you come home when you're released, you're going to be worried about, do I have a roof over my head? Where am I going to work? Can I even find a job? You have women who don't even have custody of their kids. How am I going to get my kids back? So then you worry about all those factors, but then your own trauma and the things that you have not addressed, they still end up inside of you, right? And that can lead to serious mental health issues.
Yeah, definitely. Can we talk about, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they were having a conversation with somebody. I guess they were on probation, and they were talking about how they couldn't vote because we were talking about voting. And then that took us down a whole like rabbit hole of like voting rights and if you're able to vote, if you have a felony record and all these different things. But then we had president with a felony record. And so
Yeah.
like all these different things, right? And but I would love it if you could talk a little bit about some of the barriers that are experienced, that you think that, I guess should be looked at or maybe people can view from a different perspective. The barriers that we may not think about that people are experiencing, that is systemic, right, in nature, that is not designed to really help um, help women or individuals move forward.
Yeah. So the first thing I want to address is the voting myth. And it's funny that you brought that up because while I was out this weekend, we had a salsa dance um class for my nephew's birthday. So me and my family, we did that as an activity. And after the class, we sat down and we were having dinner and we talked about voting. And my mom was like, "Well, are you voting?" I said, "Yes, I voted every year since my release." She was like, "Oh, I thought you couldn't vote." I said, "Yeah." Well, during my sentencing, I remember my judge stating that your voting rights, you no longer have voting rights, so on and so forth. And I turned around, but then my lawyer, I was like, "I'm not going to be able to judge to vote." And he's like, "No." He was like, "But I think that's going to change." So that was in 2014. Fast forward to my release, 2018, my probation officer comes to my house and I'm getting dressed. And she's like, "Oh, where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to vote." She's like, "You can do that?" I said, "Yes, I can." So laws have changed, right? Thankfully. So those who have been impacted by the justice system can vote. It does go by state. I can share the information on a pamphlet that we have concerning voting rights for those who are just as impacted. In fact, in some states, those who are detained and haven't been convicted, they can vote by mail. So, you still have that right to vote in certain states, even if you have been impacted by the justice system. I know New Jersey, New York is one. Also Atlanta is one. We actually did advocacy around voting. So please, everyone, exercise your vote. Right? Tell your family members, tell your friends. I'm gonna share a slide in the information on certain myths about voting.
Yeah.
But in terms of barriers, whew, barriers, barriers, barriers. I'm dealing with a lot of them right now. Housing is definitely a major one, right? Employment. And I would say with employment, the first barrier is getting the job. And then the second one is getting them to pay you what you are worth, right? In the work that I do partner with hiring partners. And I have conversations, and I'm going to share that because this is a shared space and this is information that needs to be heard and also shared. I've even had hiring partners that I had to sever ties with, because as a hiring partner, you work with community agencies such as mine to get those who have been impacted by the justice system, those who are unemployed, those who are unsheltered, homeless, right? Those who have experienced of life circumstances that have allowed them to fall into poverty, right? You work with them with these partners to get them employed and to also advocate, right, for their pay, right? Also advocate for the type of jobs that they will be getting, because it's not just, oh, well, they just came out of prison, they'll take any job. It doesn't work like that. I've had to sever ties with a hiring partner who flat out told me when I said, hey, that pay is a little bit, it's too low, and for me, they will just be spending most of their time and their money commuting to work just to be able to get to work. So their entire check is going to go on transportation. You have to do better, right? Or this may not be the type of partnership that we need. You know, that hiring partner told me, well, when they were locked up, they were getting paid 12 cents an hour. Girl.
You know how much the cost of living is in New Jersey?
So the fact of the matter is, when we were incarcerated, we didn't have any other choice but to work for 12 cents an hour,
Yeah,
right? Um, and some of us who had restitution never even got to see that pay, because as soon as that money hit the account, restitution came and drew it out, right? So to make that statement, number one, it was very ignorant. But then if you think about it, even if you're making that much in prison, that little in prison, you don't have any overhead, you don't have rent, you don't have to pay a water bill, you don't have to pay a light bill. But some of us did use that money we had to feed ourselves, right? We had to buy personal hygienes, right? Some of us were still helping family members on the outside, right? So that's really nothing that you should compare. But what I would say is that employers need to realize the value of someone who has been justice impacted, that was able to work and willing to work for 12 cents an hour. Because if you paid them that while they were incarcerated, and you needed to see the jobs that we had. My job, I worked for the warden office. I was cleaning, I did housekeeping for the warden. But some of the ladies, they worked in the laundry, had to deal with in extreme heat. Some of the individuals, they worked outside in carpentry, extreme heat, extreme cold, yet they worked sweat by their brow for that 12 cents an hour. So what makes you think, if you don't give them a sizable income, something that they can really work and thrive and support their families, that they wouldn't give it their all? I found some of the best employees that I've worked with were people who were either impacted by the justice system, or those who came from households that were living beyond the poverty guidelines. Right. So, you just never estimate those who have been impacted. And one thing I would say, we are some of the hardest working individuals, right? Because we look at that, and then when you get that first paycheck and you're like, wow, this is good. You get up in the morning all excited. Yeah, I'm going to my job, and we put on our best and just so excited because we do feel value, accepted, and rewarded. So I always advocate for pay. Listen, I've negotiated salaries. I've negotiated pay increase. Let me see what you're getting paid. Go on pay scale, go on recruiter.com. What we're going to do is we're going to get 3 bids, right? We're going to go on 3, put in your job title, right? See what your worth is. See what the medium national salary is for that. Make copies of this, write a memo, a justification to your employer with copies of this to show them, listen, you are underpaying me. Since I've been here, I have done thus, right? According to this, it says that my salary range should fall in between this. This is how we're going to negotiate your salary, right? So I also, help my program participants how to present themselves, right? And when you are delivering and when you are speaking to someone, speak with the facts, because they are going to focus on facts when they are dealing with someone justice impacted, as opposed to someone who has not been impacted by the justice system, because they don't feel that we have the knowledge base.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I love that you are sharing all of this, because what it what it's reminding me of is someone who is in the mental health advocacy space, is that we're always reminded that people are individuals, and it is our responsibility to understand that individual story,
Yeah.
right? To see that person from an objective lens and move in a place of curiosity and exploration about their story, right? And I think that a lot of people don't do that. And I think that that's so important because you're right. Like the value, just because your life trajectory was a little bit different or maybe different from other people, does not mean that you don't have value, does not mean that you don't have worth, does not mean that you are not capable of going on and doing great things. You are a prime example of that.
Yeah, thank you.
And should be treated, I think, as such. And just because you have not been incarcerated does not mean that you have not done some things. You know, everybody has their own things that they have been challenged with. And I think it's important that we don't allow people's past to define their future for
Yeah.
all of us, right? Um, I do want to, this has been so insightful, and
Yeah,
I
thank
would
you.
love to, I feel like I need to have you back and like maybe talk about a specific thing like domestic violence specifically, and then kind of talk about that. And then, but I know that we don't have a lot of, all day to be having this conversation. So I want to just shift just a little bit to asking you about how you pour into your own cup, because in order to pour out so much, you listed so many things and so many ways that you have been shining a light into other people's lives. um what how are you pouring into you? How do you get filled so that you're able to hopefully move from your overflow?
Well, today is my fellowship day. So after this, I'm going to the house of the Lord to fellowship, praise, and worship, and just um how I pour into my own cup. That is my faith system. Absolutely, my faith in Jesus. I am a woman of God. I'm a Christian to begin with, so it takes a lot of prayer, a lot of fasting. Those are things that work for me. I don't know what works for everyone else. Um, Fellowship, right? Staying in the company of other believers to keep me grounded. When I need advice, I will normally go to, women who can feed me with the word or just bring me back scripturally, right? Um, but definitely staying close to God. That's how I fill my own cup. That's how I pour into myself. Another thing, I love to travel. I love to travel. So I do work hard. I work hard, and sometimes everyone is like, well, it's 2 a.m. and you're still working, or you've been up since 5 a.m. and you're still working. I was like, yeah, it's fine. Because I know when I'm on vacation, I'm completely checked out. Like I'm off the radar. And when I vacation, it's for an extended period of time with no interferences. I love walking by myself, plugging in, listening to a great podcast, a great sermon, a great worship song. I think walking and actually exercising gives me that lift that I need. Um, and what the other thing? Oh, well, I'm a real girly girl, so I love shopping too. When I can. When I can. And yeah, so those are a couple of things that I do like to do to pour into myself. But out of all of them, my top on my list is my quiet time alone with God and just praying and just being in meditation. I need to refuel myself. I really need to refuel myself. Especially when I know I have a tough week, a long week ahead of me. All of my weeks are long, right? But I need something to refuel myself, and that's what fuels me up and lifts me up. A good word will always lift me up. A good message, right? Just sitting down, speaking, but then also being quiet to hear the voice
Mm.
of God, because I feel like I'm hearing from everyone else, and I hear this, I hear that, I hear this sermon here, I hear this person say this, I hear this person say that, but I just want to silence out all the noise at a certain part of my week and just hear the voice of God just speak to me. So that's what I do to pour into my cup.
I love it. And you are such a light. This is so beautiful to me to hear all of the ways in which you are utilizing your experience to pour into other people. And then I love that where you get your source. Your source is God, your source is the word, and how we know that the word is living. And so every time we open it, there might be a new revelation. It illuminates within us. And so I love that. I love that. And I'm super proud Aisha and all of her travels and all of her things. It is very inspiring. And so, my last question for you is what words or message would you leave for anyone who is contemplating being a light in their community, or they're trying to figure out, like, what is it that I can do? Should I do this? Yeah, what words or what thoughts would you leave for them who are in that space of trying to figure out what they want to do or the type of impact they want to leave in this earth?
Yeah, so I would say is do it coming from that's a good question. Really good question. Do it from a place of love, because I've noticed that I've tried many things in life, right? But if my heart wasn't in it, I didn't give it my all. So do it from a place of love, right? Do it from a place where if there was no gratification, or if the person didn't turn around and say thank you, or they cursed you out within minutes of you helping them, right? Would you still do it, right? Do it from a place of, if you don't get the gratification, if you don't get the likes, you don't get the comments, if no one is seeing the work, would you still do it? Right? Do it from a place of, once it is done, how do you feel about yourself? Right? Do you feel like, oh my gosh, this is too much for me, I can't do it? Then I will tell you to rethink that in which you are doing. Right? Because for me, the work that I do, I don't consider it work. And someone asked me the other day, well, how do you do this? Are you not tired? For some reason, when I do outreach, when I do advocacy, I don't get tired. And then I realized I don't get tired because this is something that I really, truly love to do. I don't get paid for it. I don't get a check. So that's another thing. Think about it. If everything was to be taken away and stripped from you, would you still do it? Right? And advocacy is not only reaching out to those who are that you see that are homeless, right? You can have those within your own household that you need to advocate for, right? So if you don't know where to start from within your own circle. Start from within your own personal space. See if there is a need, or there's something that you can help or be a light to others within your own circle, right? And then that is your practical. That is your practical, right? And then just take it out to the world. When I think about service, I just think about the lives that are being impacted and the people who can't advocate for themselves, the people who don't have a voice. Some individuals don't have a voice because they people look at them like, okay, well, you're living on the streets, or you were incarcerated, or you're in jail, right? Speak up for them, because what happened to me can happen to anyone. And I just want to say that as a reminder. It can happen to anyone. And although you are not directly impacted, it's a 10 degree, what do they call it, like a 10 degree of separation. It can be
Mhm,
happening to
mhm.
a family member, a friend, especially when it comes down to violence, intimate partner abuse. So I would tell anyone who wants to get into this work, or get into work of service, serve in places where you know that if there are no bells and whistles, that you will still feel good about the work that you do. If there is no instant gratification, or no gratification at all, right? Do it from a place where you feel satisfied and you feel filled up. Um, if you know, if the reward, where are you looking for your reward to come from? Because
Mm,
sometimes it's not even going to come from the people that you have been serving.
wow. That right there. That right there.
But it's
I
gonna come. It'll
Yeah,
come.
yeah. Something that you said that has been a theme, and what kind of spurred me wanting to do this advocacy piece is I recognize that advocacy is an act of love. Like, it is love. It's loving people. And when you were talking and through all the things that I've seen that God has allowed you to be able to do through this ministry and through your life, um, it is almost like a reflection of him loving on you, that you're able to love on other people. And so I love that you said, like, do something, do something that you love, so that it won't matter if you're getting accolades. It won't matter if people are responding to it, because it's out of the love that he's given you. It's just an extension, right? And so I love that. I
And it
love.
is. And I just want to say, do it out of love and the love that he has given you. I think that is definitely key, because as for me, I think about the love that that Jesus has given me, the way that he has been merciful to me and the way that he has forgiven me. So who am I to not extend it to someone else? Right. So that
Mm,
is something that I always hang on to, is God's love, mercy, and forgiveness, and how to sow it into others. Um, I also think about, you know, when what's done that no one sees. Because sometimes when you're advocating, nobody's going to see what you're doing. There's a lot of things that myself, other agencies that is doing this work, that does it when the lights are off, after hours. I think about organizations such as Meet Her at the Gates. I think about my partners at Ladies of Hope Ministry, um, and the work that they do, right? And they do a lot of work that people just don't see behind the scenes, right? How we get a call in the middle of the night, hey, I need housing space for this one. What can we do? 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, we're hustling, right? Because this is our love, this is our work, and we've all been impacted. We've all been there. So this is what people don't see. This is what a lot of big name agencies don't see and talk about. Oh, yeah. Just wanted
yeah, that is blessing my heart, my spirit, child. It's blessing my
to.
spirit. So let everyone know how they can get in touch with you, any things that you have coming up, any ways in which they can support or serve.
Yeah, well, you can reach us. Ways to give are on our website at www.habakasvision.com. No, I'm sorry, it's hbbkv.org. Right. All of our contact information is there, ways to give, upcoming events. We do outreach every month. However, we do have two big outreach events for Thanksgiving. We are serving Thanksgiving hot breakfast at two community agencies, Better Life, and then we are also serving breakfast at one of the nearby shelters. Reach out to me at info@hbb.org if you'd like to volunteer. We also have our annual Gala of Hope, that I do this in partnership with the Essex County COC um, community action uh, program, and we do this every year. It's a gala for unsheltered individuals, where we have a live band. We just set everything out. We serve them, right? No one is getting on the line to get food. We have waitresses. We are the actual servers. Food, music, gifts, fun. It's a gala, right? Celebrating our unsheltered brothers and sisters, non-binary community members, right? And just showering them with the love and the dignity that they need. We also are always actively going inside of prisons and jails. So if anyone has anyone that is impacted by the justice system inside of the prisons or outside of the prisons in the New Jersey area, please reach out to us. Visit our website to see how we can support that individual. Again, Habakkuk's House, we always need support for Habakkuk's House, right? Because we know that there is a major housing crisis right now, where individuals are not able to be housed. And when you have a criminal record, sometimes you are denied for housing because of that criminal record. So we do have a private space, right, that we have set aside for those who are justice impacted, and also those who are fleeing from domestic abuse, right? That we always need support for that. So volunteers, funders, agencies, reach out to me directly. My direct email is a.babilonia@hgbkv.org. Um, and then I just want to leave everyone with one last thing. Um, like, when just thinking about service, it's a scripture in the Bible that always comes to me. I think it's in Luke 7, verse 44, when Jesus turns to Simon and he's like, you see this woman right here? Like, from the time she went from the time I walked through the door, she didn't stop kissing my feet. She gave me water to drink. She didn't stop serving me. And you didn't do any of that. Her sins that are many have been forgiven because she loved much. Because she loved much. And then he also goes on to say, for those who have forgiven little, no, for those who have loved little are forgiven little, something to that effect. But yeah, I would just, encourage everyone to lead with love, to forgive much because he has forgiven us much. And yeah.
Oh, my heart is so warmed this morning. As you were talking, I feel called to. So it's not, I was going to say ironic, but it's not ironic that all the people that I have talked to about advocacy are based in New Jersey, like on this podcast. So
Wow.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect all of you together,
Okay.
because I really feel like what each one of you are doing, there is a way that specifically I think that they can pour into what you're doing as well. And so I'm going to make that connection with
Yeah,
all of you.
that would be
Um,
great. Build that bridge.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my role.
Mhm.
Being the light. But thank you so much, Aisha, for being a part of this conversation. I love what you are doing, and it's such a blessing. And I know that as it continues to grow, the hands of God is just going to rest upon it, and we are going to see publicly, even though this has already been happening, I believe that publicly we're going to be able to see the impact of all the things that you've been doing. And I know that you've already been impacting and changing lives, but yes, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us. And for those of you who continue to watch and continue to listen, thank you so much. Please continue to share, and let others know about what we are doing here at Blessed Girl Summer. And just be reminded that we are advocates for protecting your peace, cultivating joy, and living the life that God has definitely afforded you with, and determine that is your portion. That is your portion. Peace, joy, love, all these things are our portion. And so thank you all for being with us, and we will chat next time.
Thank you. Thank you, Letitia, for having me. Bye.
Woke up this morning, sunshine through the clouds, feeling the healing, laughter all around. Rise up and stand tall, joy in every stride. No more tears to fall, let your spirit guide. Blessed go summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed go summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems. Hear the drums calling, dancing to the dawn. Keep on believing, strength in every song. Blessed go summer, shining through the night. Brighter than thunder, you're the morning light. Life keeps on spinning, hold on to your dreams. You're always winning, more than it seems.